what you just said about Epstein, we can say that name, right? Uh, Also holds true for the current administration that support used to support and fund Democrats more than the other race, the other party. I mean, you described the current guy his former
Yeah.
persona.
Welcome to Third Side Convo with your host, Bob Phipps. Your panelists today are Ted Johnson, Jeff Klein, John Dunn, and Bill Russell. And now, your host, Bob Phipps.
Welcome, everyone, to the Third Side Convo. Good evening. We tackle the stories here on Third Side Convo that make politicians sweat and the rest of us wonder what the heck is really going on. Now, tonight, we're asking the question, who's afraid of the Epstein files? Now, both sides of Congress claim they want the truth, but for every time those shows come up, the files get up, somebody heads for the exit. So let's get right to it. For everyone on the panel and in the peanut gallery, do we go full disclosure and release every name, or is there ever a good reason to hold something back? All right, the floor is open. Now, we're going to go on and start with Johnny Dunn here. Is it time to shine a little light, or, should everybody start reaching for their blackout marker? What should we do, Johnny?
Look, there is massive distrust in the government, and unless they release all of the names, that's not going to be getting better for either side. It looks very, very fishy. I mean, even myself, without naming names, I'm very, very disappointed by some of the statements that were made over the last couple weeks, honestly.
Okay, perfect. Jeff Klein, what do you think? Are you on the full disclosure side?
Absolutely. I mean, let's certainly not say we've released everything and then anybody who's watching can see that the footage has been edited and fixed, and it's not actually the full footage, and it's ridiculous.
Well, haven't you seen that before, though, when they go, we've released the files, and there's more black than white on the paper, we'll say. Bill Russell, what's your view? Is it full disclosure or not?
Well, I think it is. We're certainly getting into time for full disclosure. Why they're withholding, I don't know. There must be something there, but the one thing we do know is that it's not against the current president but there is a reason he's withholding it, and we'll find out eventually.
A little too direct on that, Bill. You can do it without that, but I know what you're saying. Somebody's probably going to bring that one up. You probably should have gotten slammed. Ted's saying you should have gotten slammed on that one. I mean, current president, that's pretty specific, isn't it?
It's just pretty bold statement too.
Yeah.
Well, we do have to talk about the current administration.
Thank you.
You can't avoid it.
The administration is the word we use. As you know, on the Third Side Convo, we don't try to go to a specific person because what's interesting is, Ted, isn't it true though that Epstein was more on the Democratic side from a standpoint of who he supported financially? Is that true?
What does that have to do anything with people who he trafficking young girls? It doesn't matter if it's Democrat, Republican, or a Libertarian. The fact is, he was in jail, should have been in jail a lot earlier than he ended up in jail because of what he was doing and what his associates were doing. And many people believe he was doing it for ulterior motives, maybe blackmail. So I think basically the issue of full disclosure is an old lesson. It didn't work for Nixon. It didn't work for a lot of people. When you try to hold something back, eventually the dam breaks and it becomes a much worse situation. So what could the current administration do if, in fact, certain names do come up? I have my theories, but we'll talk about those later.
Okay, fine. All right, John.
Bob,
yeah, Bill. Go, Bill.
No, it's Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Okay, Jeff. Throw in.
What you just said about Epstein, we can say that name, right? Also holds true for the current administration that used to support and fund Democrats more than the other race, the other party. I mean, you described the current guy in his former persona.
Well, and that's kind of what I'm saying. This really isn't a political discussion. No. That's all I'm getting at. It sounds like all four of y'all, for full disclosure, we can end the show now. I mean, kind of. Now, but let's talk about reasons why possibly not to do full disclosure, okay? What could be reasons to not do full disclosure? Johnny, can you think of some?
Yeah, there's a lot of very powerful people with lots and lots of money. I mean, that's it. It's always the same thing. Follow the money. That's totally what it is. And I'm sure they've got all sorts of legal wrangling going on that us who aren't educated in law don't fully understand, but that's what it is. It's the money.
Okay, Ted.
Who's on that airplane?
Well, that's one you'd want to know, who's on the Lolita Express, but just actually tying him to Epstein, Ted, or two of y'all, go at it. I mean, couldn't that be a problem? Tying it, just putting somebody's name next to Epstein, could that be a big problem for people who weren't?
Absolutely. It's a big problem. I think one thing that we all know these days, and it has nothing to do with Me Too, this goes back years and years, and that is underage sex is always something that can come back and haunt you 20, 25 years later. It happened. Virginia Giuffre, the woman who she testified in the trial that got Ghislaine Maxwell in jail, she's a perfect example. She was 35 when she went before a court, and she was 16, 17 when her actions were deemed viable for conviction. So that's what I think the biggest fear is. They don't want that. They don't want that knock on the door from an investigator saying, can we talk to you? And just like you say, the association is a big black mark on one's record.
Got it. Bill, why don't they release everything? I've read something about that, you can't just release like investigators' notes, because there's all sorts of speculation in there. And obviously anybody, I think most of us on the panel are not going to show up on Epstein's list, so we're probably safe. But
I think.
Exactly, as far as I know. Bill, isn't that a problem, though, is you can't necessarily release, as investigators' notes?
Well, the investigators' notes, that can be a problem. And in fact, that can lead to problems with the eventual prosecution. But in terms of, I think we're all in agreement that the moral issues here are crystal clear, that anybody who was having sex with minors definitely needs to be held accountable. The only reason I could possibly think of for not releasing the list is because there's something going on in that convoluted world of spy versus spy when you start talking intel, counter intel, that could lead to people getting killed. I mean, there's just that's the only thing I could think of that could possibly justify it. But, the time will tell, and when the truth comes out.
Yeah, hey Jeff, didn't Tucker Carlson said he was a member of Mossad or something like that, which sounded pretty ridiculous. What's your take on that, Jeff?
It didn't only sound pretty ridiculous. It was complete fiction, and Tucker needs to decide which paycheck he's going to cash first.
That's right.
Yeah, he's kind of gotten a little strange, hadn't he?
Yeah, he's got money from Qatar, money from Russia.
Right.
I mean, he's for sale to the highest bidder now, and he's not a journalist by any ways at all. And now all Tucker is for rent.
Yeah. Well, I heard that I guess Ghislaine's dad, did have connections. Ted, the other thing I heard was that Ghislaine hadn't even been interviewed yet, basically officially by the government. Why the hell would that be? Can you got any ideas on that?
She was interviewed by prosecutors before we went to trial, and they had so much on her. I mean, there was hours and hours of video. He had video cameras. Epstein had video cameras in his apartment as well as the island mansion. So there wasn't much she could say. And I think they're interviewing her today, and I bet she doesn't say a thing because they're not offering anything in terms of shortening her sentence, if not even abandoning her sentence. Maybe she hasn't spoken anything at all. Maybe she's waiting for a pardon from the current administration.
Johnny, morally, obviously we all agree upon this, but but there are reasons to not just throw out names to attach themselves to Jeffrey Epstein, aren't there?
No, there's, what he said, like, there were certainly people that flew on the plane and that's all they did is fly in the plane. But what Ted said there was correct. There's hours and hours and hours of videotape. Everybody knows there's hours and hours and hours of videotape. There's a money trail. Those are the people I want to hear about, and they know exactly who they are.
Well, and by now, the Justice Department has gone through all of those hours of tape. There's a log somewhere of who and when is on those tapes. And that's what we want to know. That's what we want to have released. And there's no, again, whose best interest is that released? It's not, it's really, it's not like a White House, a log that's public record and we all have a right to know. It's, what's the public interest? Why? What's our right to know that information? Is there a reason we should know it?
So you're saying, hey, Jeff, are you saying it's down to sex? It's not necessarily about the other business dealings he did. It's let's see who the hell, was sleeping with the underage girls.
Are they all sex tapes or are they just tapes of who's coming and going? I don't know the answer to that.
Right.
Well, they say Prince Charles has been on the airplane. What does that mean? I don't know. Who's been to that island? What does that mean that they've been to the island? Somebody was dragged along by somebody else to this mysterious island. What does that mean? But the other part of it, what's our compelling right to know? Again, if it's somebody we elected to public office and they were in public office at the time, yes, we have a right to know. If it's somebody who was in their 20s or 30s and they were elected to office in their 50s or 70s, we don't necessarily have a right to know what they were doing then.
Okay. Well, that's a good start. All right. Well, let's go on and end our first segment. And please subscribe on YouTube. Please check us out, thirdsideconvo.com, on Facebook. And we'll be right back after a word from our sponsor.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call Your Computer Solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling Your Computer Solutions at 407-826-0810. The Tri-Beer Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Erode Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.
All right, we're back. Now, I want to get past this whole sex thing and see if I can get from everybody. Everybody agrees there should be full disclosure. But right now, it seems like we're concentrating on the sex part of this, the underage women and all that other stuff. Is that where y'all are looking at primarily? Start with you, Ted.
Well, I think it goes back to a trend that's developed in this current administration. He promised so much before the election. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to show how government is corrupt and fat and waste money. And look what happened to Doge. Nothing big out there. In fact, there was a lot of blowback. ICE, he's sending out people. Granted, the immigration has stopped. But at the same time, he's sending people outside of the country who don't deserve to be sent outside the country. Definite violations, civil violations. Then he releases the JFK files.
Oh, wait a minute. I've got to get this right. Who's that he? I'm not sure who you're talking about here.
The head of the administration.
Oh, thank you. Just the administration. The government is doing things differently. Okay, we're going to have to.
The guy who runs the administration. That's right.
We're not training Jeff right. No, but the things that are being done, I understand what you're saying, Ted.
So the point is that it's a trend of overpromising and under-delivering.
Okay, so you're making it a bigger point of they're not still released. They were supposed to have been released. That's the point you're trying to make, right?
And then blowback.
But Bill, did the prior administration actually release them? Could they have released the Epstein? Was it supposed to be released then, Bill?
Well, certainly they could have. And in terms of, where I have to agree with Ted is that it is a massive distraction. There were a lot of promises made regarding release. It hasn't happened yet. And the problem is that it's such a distraction from all the wonderful things this administration has been doing, getting rid of all the illegal aliens, making those cuts under Doge, increasing our border security. And, it's such a, like I say, it has become such a distraction that is distracting from these great successes.
Okay,
It's their own fault.
Okay,
It's their
but
own
let me
fault.
ask you a question.
They're shooting themselves in the foot. I agree with you on that, Ted.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Look, we've got more agreement on this show than probably any other show we've had in history. But what I'm trying to get at is the business relationships of Epstein. Is that the type of thing that we want, or is it about the sex? Jeff,
What
is it
was
about
he in
the
jail for?
Well, good question. What was he in jail for?
He was in jail for the sex.
Okay. It wasn't for the other stuff. Okay. It wasn't the business dealings. But what I'm saying is a lot of people get caught up, had business dealings with this guy, money transferred between them or whatever, not for sex. But what we're after is we're after the underage sex. Jeff, you agree with that? That's what we're after.
That's the most salacious stuff.
Perfect.
And
Johnny, are you against that? You're kind of against that, aren't you?
No, I want to know everything that was shady, and I want to know who this guy Les Wexman is as well, because
There you
he
go.
seems to be a really huge part of it. Who really no one's been talking to him either.
Who's that? Who's that?
Les Wexman was the guy that owned all the different brand. I think it was Victoria's Secret,
Correct.
Abercrombie and Fitch, and he was kind of the guy that first funded Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
So it's
True.
I mean, that's a fact too, by the way, Les Wexman. So, so maybe they say Epstein wasn't affiliated with this person, but Les Wexman was, and then Les Wexman was feeding the instructions to.
the guy in Cincinnati.
That's Les Wexman.
What no one really knows is how Epstein made his money. He's worth like $140 million. How did he make his money? He never traded.
Yeah.
Again, it goes to many people believe that he might have been an agent for the Mossad. He was setting this up as blackmail purposes on
They don't pay
politicians
that
and
well.
famous people. So there you go.
What, Bill? Do you know how he got his money? Had you heard how he got his money?
I have no idea how he got his money. In fact, all the articles I've seen on it has people asking that question: where did he get his money from?
Huh. Well, I guess that would be a good question or a good story to find out, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and and absolutely, and there is that part of it that we have the human trafficking and the sex crimes going on, but how was that being used? How were the tapes being used? What influence did this have on our economy, on our government, and on foreign governments and foreign economies?
So was he?
Those are all a lot of questions that eventually need to be found out.
So was he a blackmailer or just a pervert?
I think he was both.
On top of which, if you're the Chancellor of Germany and you come across a video that somebody sends to you and it's a certain guy from New York who's a business developer with a 16-year-old topless girl on his lap,
Right.
do you think that's going to affect trade negotiations? Maybe. So, I mean, it does.
I don't know. It's Germany.
Huh?
I don't know. It's Germany.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, or
So-
Korea or Indonesia. So there you
Epstein's net worth at death was $560 million.
Wow.
go. Yeah.
A lot of that involved real estate holdings,
Okay.
including
So
two
where'd the money come to buy the
Caribbean
real estate
islands.
holdings?
What else does it say, Jeff?
Two private Caribbean islands.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
those are cheap.
founder of an alternate. Let's see. Together valued at $86 million, purchased for $60 by Stephen Deckoff,
Wow.
founder of an alternative investment firm. What did he do for a living?
Well, it could be. I mean, given that we know the guy's a scumbag, it does make sense that if we look into his past on how he got his money, there's probably some interesting stuff there. I just don't want to
He
see
worked at
people.
an investment bank.
Yeah. Okay. And we know they
Yeah.
pay those investment bankers; they can make ridiculous amounts of money. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, what else do y'all want to know about him? I mean, is it
Yeah,
just
he was a personal money manager and business advisor, making hundreds of $1,000,000, managing Les Wexner's billions.
Wexner.
That's it. Johnny, you were right. Okay, so you're right. In
Of
managing,
course.
and if the guy's a billionaire, you're getting a bunch of money when you're managing his money, I'm sure.
And J.P. Morgan Chase loaned him money.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah. But then again, we've got,
Why
you
did you
know.
loan him money?
And he had money in Deutsche Bank.
Wow.
They said
Which deals with a certain
$75 million lawsuit
real estate
alleging that the bank knowingly benefited from his sex trafficking and profited from doing business with him. So they paid a fine.
Wow. So there's a lot, I guess, to dig into, to uncover.
Yeah.
It does sound like. I just
But
don't
again,
want.
how much of it is public? It affects us
Right.
as the public. Who were, again? I mean, except for the sex trafficking, what did he do that was a victim crime?
Right. Yeah. No, that's a good argument. I mean, people obviously have done business all throughout centuries. Just happen to be knowing anybody, getting a good deal on something. That happens all the time. So what are we really going for? So it does seem still to be about the sex, or that's what everybody cares about, or the fact that
it's grand jury stuff, which you're never going to get a full release of grand jury testimony.
I disagree, Bob. It's not about the sex. It's about the trust. Certain people made promises. They want to know going on. On top of that, people were hurt. Young people were hurt, and they've been lied to, and they had to go to court to disprove them. So, I mean, there is a big issue of what really happened and why it happened. And somebody made a promise, we're going to release it all. And now it comes down to, well, there's nothing there. So that creates great distrust.
Mm-hmm. But it seems like that, isn't it? I mean, haven't y'all seen that it's kind of both sides of Congress are playing on this thing right now? I mean, it's the Republicans and the Democrats seem to be fighting on whether or not it should be open, from what I understand.
The same, just like here, we all agree that the stuff that should be open should actually be really open and not just fake stuff. But we're still back to a bunch of lies that we're never going to know the truth about, and campaign lies are campaign promises that don't get fulfilled really lies.
No, that's a good question. I mean, but he's touting all the campaign promises that he fulfilled, right. The immigration issue and the Doge and all that stuff.
Well,
so now this doesn't count.
And I don't think,
I think it's radioactive. I don't think it's going to go away.
I don't think it will either.
Johnny, do you want to say something?
Yes. Look, I know Ted will be shocked here, and I can't name names, but I sent a message to my wife last week, and I have lost all faith, all trust in the current administration, despite their accomplishments. And what really pisses me off is all of the way it's being gaslit at us. Why are we still talking about that? And it's like, are you that damn stupid? You ran on it.
Here you go.
That's why we're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Idiot. It's very disheartening. My plan is I'm not even going to vote next time because I think it's all just a big scam.
Well, a lot of people feel disconnected because promises are made and they don't follow through, or people say things just to say things to get elected. Seems to resonate, and it's getting worse. I think you're right. It's getting worse.
We're where we're at because a bunch of people sat home this time around.
It's true. Also, Gen X women and Hispanic men also switched their votes too. So, and Gen Z didn't come out. You're right.
So you're saying things have not gotten better in our political environment? What a shock! What a shock!
I think it's look at what people are talking about now. I mean, yes, the immigration issue people are not coming to the border, but at the same time, now they're seeing images of kids, babies ripped out of mothers' arms, of guys trying to go to work in court, trying to process their immigration status and getting shipped onto a bus, sent who knows where. Nobody voted for
It's
that.
crazy. I know it. It's crazy. Well, we're going to take our break right now before we go too far afield. And please go on and please subscribe. Check us out. We've got check out the prior videos. We've got shorts. We got everything. Facebook. Please subscribe on YouTube and on thirdsideconvo.com. We will be right back after a word from our sponsor with these crazy people.
Corona Cigar Company is your one-stop shop for all your cigar needs. Whether that's a brand new humidor, a box of those new cigars you've been waiting for, a top-of-the-line cutter or lighter, a place to enjoy the finest cigars and spirits with friends, or the only cigars grown right here in the Sunshine State, we've got you covered. Come visit one of our retail locations for the ultimate cigar experience. Visit us online at coronacigar.com.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
Welcome back. Now, we're going to get a little more into transparency. I think we beat Epstein to death here. So let's just talk about overall transparency. And Johnny hit on it really big. I mean, Johnny's sitting here going, he's just fed up with everything. And when you got Ted and Johnny agreeing on something, it either says a lot for this show or possibly more so for the fact that we go into a government and here we go again. I'm going to start, though, with Jeff Klein on this one. Jeff, is it transparency in government? Is it possible?
It is absolutely possible to have more transparency than we've had.
Okay.
And we've seen it from time to time. And we've also seen people try to campaign on it and fail to deliver. But I have to say that, something we talked about briefly in the pre-show, here we are talking about this Epstein dude who's dead.
Yeah.
And I'm a little ashamed because right now people are being murdered in Syria and in Sudan and in Yemen. And we're talking about some guy who slept with a bunch of girls that were underage, who got on a plane or a boat to go to an island in the Caribbean. And surprise, they got slept with.
Hey,
I'm not saying...
Fair point, Jeff. Fair point. There's a little bit of responsibility on some other people, too. Bill, what about you? Is transparency an issue or has always been and is never going to be solved?
Well, there's always going to be, there are always going to be disclosures. There are always going to be issues with transparency because you can't, whether you're in business or politics, you can't say everything all the time and be an open book because everyone will, even great transparency will be taken and twisted and used to beat you with. It hands your political opponent a stick to beat you with, and that's one of the things you can't do. So it's always a balance, I think. And what's unfortunate about this whole Epstein issue for the current administration is because it has soured a lot of people. And I think Johnny summed it up just perfectly just a minute ago, where to him, he's lost all faith because the promise was not fulfilled, despite all the other promises being fulfilled. So, okay. It is a problem.
Well, maybe not all of them. Ted would agree that not all of them have been fulfilled. But transparency, what's your take on transparency, Ted?
I don't mean to go long on this. I'll try to make my best. A long time ago, there was a movie made called Primary Colors. It was based on a book written about Bill Clinton's presidential run in 1992. And at the end of the movie, there's this great scene where John Travolta, the lead actor, talks down or dresses down his one of his advisors who's all disillusioned. He goes, "You don't think Abe Lincoln was saying this crap back in 1860?" And the point was, you have to get elected to get in the room to make decisions. You have to get elected. They say anything. What's happening now, maybe to Johnny's point, is that some have been so outrageous that they hang in the air. He might have touched something that's going to linger. Now, when you go back about tariffs and trade disputes with Japan, 2 years, people don't know if it's 17% or 8%, whatever. But they do remember when you talk about a noted pedophile and sex trafficker, they're going to remember it.
And it is more exciting. It's more exciting than tariffs. Johnny, since you set the standard for the show, what's your final thoughts?
As you know, I am a believer in God, and we're supposedly a Judeo-Christian country, but yet in Proverbs 6:16, there is this list of things the Lord despises: lying tongues, sowing division, and bearing false witness. And it sounds like a great description of the government to me.
Well, it's incredible. Johnny, I'm glad we finished with you. You made the big points. More agreement on this show than any other show we've ever had. And, it is hard to be transparent in government because of the fact that it's like government in the sunshine. Has its pluses and minuses. You get more done if you didn't have to be so damn transparent. But that's just the way it works in our government. That's what we want. And so please join us again on another show for Third Side Convo. Please jump on and subscribe. Check us out. This is not the typical show, but you know what? No show's typical. It's just real people talking about how they feel about things. And we really appreciate you being here joining us. Check us out, and we will see you next week on the Third Side Convo.